All right, so FPL managers. Big week coming up, right? We're talking game week 31 with double game week 33 and blank game week 34 right there on the horizon.
Yeah, it's crunch time. And you've done your homework, haven't you? You've got your articles, forum threads, even listened to podcasts, all to get your FPL team in tip-top shape.
That's right. And that's where our deep dive comes in. We've sifted through all of it, expert opinions, stats, the lot, so you don't have to.
We're here to pinpoint what really matters, the key takeaways, the potential pitfalls, the players, and the strategies that will give you an edge.
We're cutting through the noise and giving you the actionable intelligence you need to dominate. So, are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. We can't talk strategy without acknowledging the elephant in the room. The confirmed double game week 33 and the dreaded blank game week 34.
Right. It's the foundation of everything we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Double game week 33, 4 teams with 2 fixtures. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Manchester City.
Massive. And the fixtures themselves, Crystal Palace against Bournemouth and then Arsenal, Everton with a tough pair against Manchester City, Aston Villa versus Newcastle, then Manchester City again, and Ipswich with a single fixture against Arsenal.
We also have, within that game week, Manchester City playing Aston Villa and Arsenal taking on Crystal Palace. It's a packed schedule, and knowing those specifics is absolutely vital for planning your moves.
And then we have blank game week 34 to contend with, right? Arsenal versus Crystal Palace and Manchester City versus Aston Villa are both postponed.
Yep, and Nottingham Forest against Brentford is still happening in game week 34, but it's moved to midweek. So no double joy there, unfortunately.
So we've got this double game week followed by a blank. How does this affect our chip strategy, especially for those still holding their wild card, bench boost, or free hit?
Well, knowing these dates is crucial for chip strategy. It's the key to unlocking their full potential. We need to time them perfectly to maximize our points.
And speaking of chips, let's talk wildcard strategy. A lot of experts seem to be advocating for using it now, before the game week 31 deadline this Saturday. Why the rush?
It's all about getting ahead of the curve. If you wildcard now, you can build a team specifically for those double game weeks. You can load up on players who will have 2 bites at the apple in game week 32 and, more importantly, game week 33.
So by wildcarding early, you're maximizing your chances of getting points over multiple game weeks, not just one. Makes sense. But what about the free hit and the bench boost? Where do they fit into all of this, especially with that blank game week lurking around the corner?
The free hit is like a secret weapon for blank game week 34. You can basically ignore the blank and go all in on double game week players in 32 and 33, knowing you can use the free hit to field a full team in game week 34.
So you go all in, get those double game week points, and then use the free hit to escape the blank unscathed.
Exactly. And for the bench boost, game week 32 or even better game week 33 are the ideal times to use it. That's when you'll have, hopefully, a full squad with 2 fixtures each. Imagine the points.
Okay, so that's the ideal scenario. Wildcard now, bench boost in a double game week, and free hit for the blank. But what if you've already used your free hit? How does that change things?
If you're without the free hit, then the wildcard decision gets a bit trickier. It really depends on your current squad. If it's well set for the double game weeks, you could wait until after game week 33 to wildcard, focusing on navigating the blank.
So instead of wildcarding in for the doubles, you're wildcarding out of the blank. A different approach.
But remember, if your team is weak for the double game weeks, then wildcarding now is still the best move. You'll just have to be clever with your transfers around the blank game week.
It's a delicate balancing act. But hey, at least those negative points from any early transfers get wiped clean when you activate the wildcard, right?
Right, that's a big one. Don't let a few hits stop you from making the best move for your team in the long run. It's like hitting the reset button on your FPL budget.
Okay, so we've got the fixture schedule down, and we've talked chips. Now let's talk players. Who are the must-haves with those double game weeks coming up?
Well, Crystal Palace are a prime target. They have a double game week in 32 and 33. That's 4 extra games, potentially. Looking at the OptaStats sandbox, their top scorers this season are Daniel Munoz, Ismail Assar, and Jean-Philippe Mateta.
3 players, all worthy of serious consideration. And there's been a lot of buzz around Ebereki Eze as well. Is he someone we should be keeping an eye on?
Definitely. While the others have the points on the board, Eze has that potential to explode. If he finds form, he could be a huge differential for those double game weeks.
Okay, moving on to Manchester City and Arsenal, both with double game week 33 fixtures. Where should we be looking within those squads?
With Manchester City, it's pretty much business as usual. Their attacking players are always tempting, especially with 2 fixtures. As for Arsenal, attacking assets are the focus. But a big blow for them and FPL managers is Gabriel Magalhaes. He's out for the season with an injury.
That's a huge loss for Arsenal and a headache for anyone who owns him. On a brighter note, Bukayo Saka seems to be recovering well. Is he back on the radar?
Absolutely. Saka is a game changer for Arsenal, and he's getting minutes again. If he's fit for the double, he's a top priority.
And last but not least, Aston Villa. Any standouts there for double game week 33?
They've got some interesting attacking options. Ollie Watkins is the obvious one, but he's carrying a bit of a knee issue. Keep an eye on his fitness, but if he's good to go, he could be a real asset.
All right, that gives us a good overview of those double game week targets. But what about the here and now? What should we be doing for game week 31 in terms of transfers and, crucially, the captaincy decision?
For game week 31, we've got a few names popping up as must-haves. Alexander Isak from Newcastle, despite a minor injury doubt. Ioane Wissa from Brentford, hold on to him if you've got him. Same for Cole Palmer from Chelsea. And then we have Jurgen Strand-Larsen from Wolves and his teammate Ryan Ait-Nouri, both looking like great picks.
Okay, let's break some of those down. Isak is tempting, but that injury flag is worrisome. What's the latest on his status?
Well, it's being monitored, but the general consensus is that he should be fine for their match against Leicester. And when you consider Leicester's form, they haven't scored a goal since January. Isak could have a field day.
Oh, and don't forget, Newcastle have a double game week 32 as well, against Manchester United and Crystal Palace. That makes Isak even more appealing, even if they don't double in 33.
Exactly. Now, for Jurgen Strand-Larsen, he's worth a look because Wolves are in good attacking form, and they're up against Ipswich, who are notoriously leaky at home. Larsen himself is finding the net, so he could be a nice differential pick.
Now let's talk about the holds. Ioane Wissa, he seems to be flying under the radar a bit, but the stats suggest we should be holding on tight.
Absolutely. He's been quietly racking up the points, top among forwards since game week 26 for pretty much every attacking stat you can think of. His XG and XA are excellent too, so it's not just luck. He's the real deal.
And what about Cole Palmer? Chelsea have been up and down, but is he worth sticking with?
Yes, he is. His underlying numbers are still fantastic. He's creating chances, getting assists, and Nicholas Jackson's return seems to be benefiting him. Plus, Chelsea's fixtures are easing up a bit. He could really come into his own.
Okay, on to the sells. Haaland is an obvious one with that injury.
Unfortunately, yeah. 5 to 7 weeks out is a long time in FPL. Can't afford to have that much money sitting on the bench, and even when he's back, there's no guarantee he'll start right away.
And then we have Gabriel, another big one to address.
Hamstring surgery, out for the season. Sad news for Arsenal and for FPL managers. Time to move on. You could look at Daniel Munoz, Dan Burn, or Ezri Konsa as replacements. Or maybe even Saliba, who might become more of a threat from set pieces with Gabriel out.
All right, the big question now, the captaincy for game week 31.
Yeah.
Who's in the running?
The main contenders are Mohamed Salah and Alexander Isak. Salah has Fulham away, and Isak faces Leicester, also away. But that Isak injury flag is making things interesting.
So a bit of a risk-reward situation there.
Yeah, Salah is the safer option. He's been consistently delivering double-digit hauls away from home. Isak has the potential to explode, especially against a Leicester side that can't buy a goal, but that injury is a concern.
We should also mention Son Heung-min, who has Southampton at home. He can be explosive, but he's been a bit inconsistent this season.
He's definitely a differential option, but maybe not the armband this week.
Okay, just a quick reminder about Newcastle's double game week 32. It makes their assets even more appealing, but remember, they don't double in 33.
So it's great for short-term gains, but you need a plan for those players beyond game week 32. Think long-term, people.
All right, before we wrap up, any other injury updates we need to know about?
A few things to keep in mind. For Arsenal, Jurrien Timber and Ben White might be back, but no guarantees. And Mikel Arteta was a bit cagey about whether Saka would start. For Newcastle, Anthony Gordon is still nursing a knee bruise, and Trippier has a minor knock, but both should be fine.
And what about the other teams we've talked about? Anything to report?
Bournemouth is still without Justin Cliver and Ryan Christie. Manchester City, no major team news other than Kevin De Bruyne leaving at the end of the season. Aston Villa still monitoring Watkins' knee. Chelsea, all good there. Leicester still can't score a goal to save their lives. Tottenham, Mickey van de Ven should be okay after that cramp. And Manchester United, Matthijs de Ligt is a doubt.
One last thing before we go. There's been some talk about using the assistant manager chip in game week 31. Any thoughts on that?
It could be a good week for it. Some managers have good fixtures and could earn you some extra points. Plus, the table bonus is in play, so if you pick a manager whose team is in the top 4, you could get an extra boost.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today. You're now armed with the knowledge to make some smart FPL decisions for Game Week 31 and beyond.
Yeah, you've got the fixture schedule, the player insights, the chip strategies, the injury updates. You're ready to go.
But remember, even with all this information, FPL is still a game of instinct and risk management. Don't be afraid to trust your gut and make your own calls.
It's about finding what works best for you and your team. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So as you head towards that Game Week 31 deadline, here's the big question to ponder. How are you going to balance those double Game Week 33 opportunities with the need to navigate the blank Game Week 34? Will you go all in on the doubles, even if it means using a free hit later? Or will you aim for a more balanced approach? This decision could make or break your season.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it valuable.
Good luck for Game Week 31 and the weeks to come. May your arrows be green.
Absolutely. And may your ranks soar.